Hi, this is a demonstration of my bug triage API. You can see here I've just got a simple diagram showing how the system works. So some internal system would generate a bug, and this would be forwarded as a JSON post request to my Flask web API, which is an Azure web app deployed on Azure DevOps. And then the API would triage it appropriately to one of three queues, and these are Azure storage queues, functioning as message queues, to take the messages appropriately depending on the value of the priority. So high priority bugs would be forwarded to the priority queue, low and medium bugs forwarded to the lower priority queue, and bugs that don't conform to that schema would be rejected and placed in the rejected queue. And then using logic apps, I'm forwarding it to various endpoints based on which queue they ended up in. So high priority bugs will go to Slack, low priority bugs will go to Trello, and bugs that are rejected will be placed in the log file, and then someone will be notified via email. So I'll just show you what the web endpoint looks like. If you were to fetch it with a GET request, you can just see the home page. It says it's the bug triage API, and you need to perform a JSON post request conforming to the following schema, and then it tells you how it will be triaged appropriately. If you come over to Azure DevOps, you can see my project here. This is just my source code for the application. It's a simple Flask API. I'm also pulling in the Azure storage queue libraries and some functions just so I can connect to my storage account and push the messages appropriately depending on the value to one of the message queues. I've also got CI/CD enabled, so it's a continuous build process. If I were to make some edits in the source code, it would go ahead and automate a release all the way up to the release pipeline and release a new version into production. So I've got my storage queues pre-made, and you can see they're all empty right now. I also have some logic apps created. I'll go through those when we get around to it. The first thing I'll do is just demonstrate a high priority bug. I'm using Postman here. You could just use curl, but it's a bit more convenient. So yeah, we'll just say it's an important bug that needs to be fixed, and it's a high priority bug. We'll go ahead and post that, and we get a JSON response back. And if we go over to the priority queue, we can see that's been pushed onto that queue, and you can see it there. And that will be dealt with. Actually, you can see I just got a notification already, so it's dealt with immediately. I've got it set to every 1 minute to check the queue, but sometimes it's a bit faster. So it's a pretty simple app. It just checks the queue, and if there's a message, pushes it to Slack and deletes the message so it's not sitting around on the queue. And we can see that just got posted to my Slack channel. And if we go back to the priority queue, it should be removed. So now I'll just demonstrate a medium priority bug. It's the same thing as a low priority. It will just get forwarded to Trello. Say it's a less important bug that needs to be fixed sometime. And we get another JSON response back. And we can go have a look at the low priority queue, and we can see the message I just pushed. And then if we check out the Trello logic app, it's very similar. It just adds a comment to the card on Trello if there's a message in a queue, and that deletes the message. And that's already been pushed to the bug tracker on Trello. So the last function to demonstrate is an invalid bug request. So we'll just say priority broken, invalid bug, can't be triaged. And we'll post that. This time we actually get a bad request back, 400 response. So we'll just say to the user, this event has been logged, which it has. If we come back to the Azure storage, and we have a look at the containers, we can see the log file here. And I'll just download it. And we can see it's been appended to the end of the log file. yeah, that's why it's not on the queue, it's actually already been dealt with. So I'll just show you the logic app for this one. It's a bit more interesting. The first thing it does is to get the contents of a log file and then use it to update the log file by appending the message text onto the end of it. And then we are sending an email to myself and then deleting a message. So if I go over to my emails, you should see the new response come through just here. Gmail just gives me a warning here, but it's fine, it's just because it's an auto-generated email. And then we can deal with that appropriately. And so that's all the functionality of the system. Triaging the bugs appropriately based on the priority value. Currently it is functioning as a web application, so it is running all the time. I did try to implement it as a serverless application using Azure Functions, just so when it's not being, when someone's not posting a request, it would be spun down and you wouldn't be paying for the time that it's up. I just had a little trouble implementing it by the deadline, but that would probably be the optimal way of doing this.